I'm going to do the N55 to B58 Coil Retrofit. There's a lot of reasons to do that. I can't remember the exact numbers off my head, but they are a more efficient coil. So there's a lot of benefits. The other benefit that I don't think a lot of people mention is these B58 coils are cheaper than a factory N55 coil. So there are reasons to do it. So the kit I ordered, and I'm going to explain why I ordered it. The kit I ordered is from, let's see, it's from R. Bryant Products. Rich and I met on the forum. That's he's the guy that creates all these. We met on the forum, and I talked to him about making a video and trying to explain, why I like this kit so much. And he and I share a very similar thought process. So I'm just going to get into what he provides. He does not provide the coils, but that gives you the option to pick what color you want based on what air filter you pick. So you can kind of color coordinate. Rich supplies a new boot and spring, custom pigtails for the B58 coil. Wires are color coded. 3 coil brackets with standoffs, and last but not least, a spacer and a new bolt for the O2 sensor wiring. The other stuff that he supplies, if you don't know how to solder and you're not as confident with electrical, he supplies a crimp connector, and enough to do all of the wiring involved. If you want to go back to stock, he supplies new pins for your factory plugs. So if you're going to go back to stock, save your factory plugs. Cut them off at the plug, strip the wire. You'll need a crimp tool, a pin crimp tool. They are fairly cheap on Amazon. I got these on Amazon. I really like them. Used them for years. But basically, you strip the wire, crimp it on, let's see if it'll focus here, crimp it on to the plug. You can repin your factory plugs. Looks 100%. Wiring is a smidge shorter, but no one's going to know. It's going to look factory. So I don't see myself returning to stock. So I'll save them. If I do return to stock, then great, I got them. But I'm not going to return to stock. So I'm not going to cut, in the case of the factory plug, I'm not going to cut right up next to the connector to save the wiring. I want to cut these down to length, and I want them to be perfect length and soldered and heat shrinked. I have a brand new case of heat shrink here. It's nothing special, just got it on AutoZone. So I think here we're going to go over to the car and start getting into it. Okay, so we're here at the car. I don't have my engine cover anymore. I've just taken it off because I work in here so frequently. So I'm going to start taking this apart, and I'll tell you what tools I use. I think though the Torx for the electrical rail back there is like a T20 or something. All right, let's get started. Okay, we're just going to let that lay off to the side. This was a 10 mil, by the way. Actually, I don't think you need to take that out. We can get to everything we need to right now. So I don't know if you haven't worked on these before. It just flips in. You push the connector in, and it rotates down. Pull it out. It spits the plug back out. Unplug it, and then the easiest way to get these out is to just pull straight up, like so. Here's my old coil. As you can see, I am in desperate need of new coils, but I was putting it off because I wanted to do this. Okay, now we got all the coils out. I did do spark plugs recently, so I'm not going to change those, but now would be a great time if you think you need it. Tuned, I run an N55 mix, so I go through plugs a little quicker than most. So these are pretty fresh. I'm just putting the new coils in. Okay, we're back over here at the toolbox. Now we got to put the new spring and the new boots on. You might need a flathead to take the boot off. This is a little... Okay, so as you can see, they RTV these boots on here. So I'm going to try to pick some of this off and put some new RTV on and put the new boot on. One thing I forgot to show you, the spring is also the same length with the resistor in it. So you need to add an extension, and Rich is providing those. They look like this. And they just screw right into the end of the spring that comes in your kit. And they look like that. So then to put this in, feed it in, and then I'm just going to give it some pressure here with my fingers. Push that spring in as far as I can, and I'm going to take my coil. It's kind of a pain to get it straight, to get it to line up, but there we go. Okay, and that's how you put the adapter on the coil spring. The other thing I need to talk about is the O2 sensor wiring bracket. So with the new style of coil, the head is a little bigger, and it actually, you can get this to fit with the spacer, but it sits kind of cockeyed. So what you got to do, if you want it to sit straight in line with the valve cover, you have to lop this piece off, and this just holds a wire. I mean, there's another hole the exact same size that you could put it in. It's not that big of a deal, but if you don't want to cut it, you don't have to. Mine's just going to sit a little weird. It's just going to be slanted here. Okay, so now I'm taking off the injector T-bracket bolts. The grounding bolt, or the grounding nut, is an 8mm, and the other two bolts are 10mm. Okay, so I'll pull the wiring out of the way here. So you can see what I did, how I mounted it. It mounts so the coils, the wiring goes opposite directions. You just take your two 10mm injector bracket bolts out, put the plate down, thread them in, tighten them back up, and that's it. And I'm going to leave the ground strap off for now so I can do the wiring on this first plug. Got my pigtails. As you can see, hopefully you can see, we have a brown wire, a red wire with a green tracer, and a white wire with a blue tracer. Now, he has a red, a brown, and a white on here. They are color coded, very easy to read. We're going to clip these and solder them together. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut about an inch back, maybe like right there, on both the factory plug and Rich's plug. And that should give me a short enough length that it'll just plug right in and it'll look good, but it'll also be long enough I can move them around a bit. Okay, so I got 3 sections of heat shrink cut about 1 inch long. You want them to overlap onto the rubber sleeve of the wire, at least a little bit on both sides of your solder. So that's why I cut them a little longer than you strip the wire. You strip about a 1/4 inch here, at least in my case. So, all right, we're gonna keep going. All right, so the audio at the end here is a little lacking, so I'm gonna give you a good voiceover here. What I'm doing right here is I twist the ends of my wire, and then I twist the ends on the plug, and then there's a couple different ways to solder, but this is how I do it. I actually twist my wire ends together and then solder, as opposed to tinning and melting them together from there. This just works better for me. I'm not sure if it provides any strength or if it's any different. That's not my area of expertise. Well, you'll see here in a second I solder it, and then I actually ran out of butane for my torch, so I resort to the backup Bic that I keep in my electrical drawer. Okay, so here I am putting the first two coils in, got the plugs on. I was really trying to keep this video under 15 minutes, but right now it looks like we're at almost 17 and a half. So I'm not going to show me doing the rest of the coils. It's the same thing over and over, but I did at least get you a close-up of me doing the wiring, and hopefully that gives you a good idea of how to do it yourself. So thanks for watching, and hope this helps.